uh, it's not very focused, I must say. I just made a deposit to the National Library of an ebook called The Black Arts, subtitled About the Mafia. I'm not feeling very well. I think I'm sort of depressed because everything that's been going on towards me. Well, it just seems to, violate my desires and any plans I might have had. I did write a letter to Sarah Mears on the email tonight, and I first met Sarah in 1972 when her father, Professor Tim Mears, invited me up or told me to come to his home to give him a paper. So I had to drive up Grasby Road into the hills and then to Balhanna on a motorbike, I think it was, and went inside and got vaguely introduced to Mrs. Mears, gave the professor the paper, and then, I don't know, he sort of introduced his two daughters, Sarah and Helen. And Helen was younger than Sarah, and I think Sarah was younger than me, but I thought Helen, looked really bouncy and attractive, and Sarah seemed to be older and wise. And fairly soon what happened was that Helen married and had a child, and Sarah, when it happened, located me and said, "Come and let's go for a drive," and took me over to see Helen and the baby. It was in North Adelaide on 10th Street, and the little baby was less than a month or 2 months old. And then Helen dropped me back at home, and I didn't really see her again for quite some time. But I heard that she was running something called the Divine Light Mission, and that some of the Divine Light Mission people had flown to Texas to attend the millennial celebration or something. Texas, and they were sprayed in colored water, and I guess took photos and then came back, and some of them returned here. And the thing about Sarah is that she was a kind of friend similar to, say, Rob Stevens of Montrose Avenue. And as an aside, I guess that's why the IRA chose to kill Lord Mountbatten, because his name sounded something like Montrose Avenue. Monty was his nickname. Mountbatten was named Monty, a nickname, and the IRA sort of took over my life for quite some time, and various friends I had just ended up vanishing, and the things that took place were just crazy. But I did some studies, and someone stole a study that I did, and so I enrolled in an American literary course, and there are only, I think, maybe 8 or 9 people, no lectures. There was a tutor, and all we'd do is read books and talk about the style of writing and so on. One book was called Invisible Man. Invisible Man, who finds himself hidden in some place where the floor, ceiling, and walls are all covered in lights. Anyway, I passed that, but I didn't put much effort into it. And then I was offered postgraduate research, but the state government under the Labor Party had targeted me because of my parents, my father in particular, because, long ago, he'd, I don't know, said to somebody who was connected to the media that he didn't support the Labor Party. They gave him a sort of, they gave, and what he did was he had a social club and a soccer club and Saturday night dances once a week at the Salvation Army Hall at 2 Beatrice Street, Brompton. And I'd sometimes help him clean up, but the problem was there were people spying on our family and me in particular. I had an older sister who one Sunday afternoon was, I think, coming home from a nearby ballet school, and apparently she didn't come home, and my father had to go out and try to find her. Next street up, there was some Indian guru Swami or something, but he did eventually find her. She died. I think she slipped and fell from the footpath into the gutter and hit her head and was a little bit dazed. But she stopped going to ballet after that. She became a fan of the Beatles and went to see the Beatles with the daughter of the Lutheran. There was a Lutheran seminary in North Adelaide run by a man named Haybart. And so what they did is his daughter Sonia, who'd had a extensive dental operation in a hospital, she and my sister Thaisa, with I think Pat Baker, went to the Beatle concert here, and as far as I know, it only lasted 20 minutes at the time, and apparently it was just a gathering. They enjoyed being together, but neither of them, as far as I knew, ever followed, quote, the Beatles ever again. Well, anyway, that's about all I can think to say. There's been a lot of disinformation given to my life, and quite a lot of it was caused by persons who can easily be described as terrorists, who operated overseas but who operated from Adelaide, and they did things or had contacts overseas who would do various things, and if anybody ever found out about it, they'd get into really serious problems. And that's for me. I sort of vaguely knew some of these people, and they kept a fairly tight rein on me. But that was about the end of it. I forget what else. I forget what else. All right, so Jager and Dev, end of stream. this thing, apparently it's still going. I just tried to say that, don't know, it's quite dark. It's about 9 o'clock and I'll end now. I used to do meditations, and I'd have odd experiences that were seemingly outside of time and space, or would be, sort of miraculous. But there was always someone stalking me, a movement apparently connected to the media. There was always someone there watching me, stalking me, and so on. And so I'll just end there and say good night and thank you.